What's up, guys? Welcome in, welcome in. Someone give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Can you guys hear me all right? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Someone give me a thumbs up. Nice, thank you. All right, we have invited April in. As soon as she's in, we will get rocking, guys. Just give us a second. Welcome in. Welcome in. Truckie's the best, man. It's awesome up here. It is all. Okay, guys, we're still just waiting for hop in here. While we're waiting, any questions for me? Any questions? What do you want to know? How's the gang doing? What's up, guys? Thanks for hopping in. Just waiting for April to join us here. I'm breaking up pretty bad. Give me a sec. I'm just gonna text her, guys. 1 second. I'm gonna text her real. She's coming. She is just getting it set up here. Thanks for being patient, guys. Yeah, what question you have? You have questions for me? Dates for first candle boot camp yet? Not yet. We'll be rolling that out soon. We'll be rolling that out very, very soon. Minimum amount of money to have to start trading. You can start trading with as little as you want, my friend. We have people who start with 200 bucks. You can start with as little as you want. Hey, bro, where are you? Guys, you're gonna want to stick around. I promise. This story's crazy. Let me shoot her another text. 1 sec. Price for first candle boot camp? Not yet. Hey, where can you get the hat? Shoot me a DM. April. So there's a little like almost looks like a film icon. At the bottom. Just request to join there. Cost of brokerages. Think or Swim at 65 cents a contract. Not bad at all. There's no price for first candle boot camp yet. April, do you see where I'm talking here? April is in the chat, guys. She's just trying to join here. April, at the bottom, you should be able to see a little, again, video icon where you can request join. I also invited you. If you just go to your notifications, you'll see it there. I'm going to invite you again, April. 1 sec. I'm going to send it right now. You should see it pop up if you're here on Instagram. I just invited you, April. Anyone have any advice for April? I mean, if you go to like the little heart of your Instagram page, right? Like the settings, the notifications, if you click on that, you should see an invite to join this Instagram live. If you just go to like the home page of your Instagram, where you see your notifications, like likes and comments and stuff, you should see that I have invited you to this live. Yeah, maybe your app's not updated. I feel like you should still be able to get on, no problem. We're just building the suspense. We just want you guys to sweat it out a little bit. Wait for April. What other questions you guys have while she's trying to get on here? It just said just when April is unable to join. April, I just saw that you are unable to join. You might need to update your app. You might need to update Instagram. If that's the case, I am happy to sit tight here for a second, and I will.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Boom, ready to rock.
Sorry, I had to come on my phone. I wanted to be on my laptop, but hey,
yes,
this is fine.
You gotta be on the phone.
So this just tells you how low tech I am. I couldn't even figure out how to get on there.
Guys, this is what's so funny is literally this is the stuff we've talked about, right? I've mentioned before it's April. I'm excited to go through it, but it was not easy. It was not easy going in the beginning as we joined in. But April, welcome. So happy to have you.
Thank you.
Have you join us here. Okay, guys. So for those of you who are on, thanks for being patient. This is April. She has been a member of Uncommon Education for a while now. She joined our February mastermind, and she has had an awesome success story as far as a very typical path of day trading, which was not getting things at first, the frustration, the back and forth, and even now with her success, still learning and growing every single day. So I'm gonna kind of direct a few questions with April here. We'll kind of go over a few topics, and then make sure to stick around, guys. We will have an open Q&A where you can ask her or myself any questions that you may have. So I guess to start, April, if you could tell us just a little bit about you, where you're from, how you heard about Uncommon Education, and before the mastermind, if you had any experience day trading.
Okay, so I will be 50 in September. Early retirement is my goal. I have a daughter who's 30. I'm from Sacramento, California. I was born and raised here. I love it, but I would also like to move at some point of my life. I did some day trading, more scalping in 2020 with crypto. And then I also am still holding some GameStop stock. So I had that experience, which of course was fun. It was a ride. And I found Uncommon on Instagram. It just popped up one day, and then I was like, oh, shoot, I had some success in 2020 scalping crypto. I should get back into this. So I think it was in October that I joined the monthly subscription, and I watched all of the videos. I watched them rather quickly because come to find out this is my passion. And so the videos were really interesting to me and kept me engaged. So I watched them all. And then when you had your Thanksgiving special is when I contacted you to join the mastermind, which started in February. So the time between when I bought the mastermind and when it started was brutal because I was just counting down the days waiting for it to start. I was so excited about it. So that's really how I started and how I found you guys.
That's so cool. And what's great, guys, is I get to work with so many incredible people like April. Those of you who were on our last Instagram live with Ricky. And it's so cool for me because, again, people all throughout the States and even, different countries now, I get to, work with and become friends with. And it's really, really fun to see outside of just obviously the trading, the success there. So let's talk briefly just where you're at now, and then we'll start kind of digging into the progress of it. So
Okay.
Something cool with April, guys, is she has withdrawn over $20,000 of profits over the last month, which is incredible. I mean, that is life-changing money. And this morning you had a successful day.
I did.
As well.
Yes.
Cool. How much
yes.
did you make this morning, April?
I made almost $1,500 this morning.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this was this in the first hour of the day?
Yes.
Cool.
Absolutely. Which is where I feel most comfortable and where what I like to do. I like to get in and out. I'm more of a scalper type day trader. I like to be in and out. I don't like to sit and wait for trades. Although I've gotten into some bad trades and stayed into them, like hoping, oh, I know
Yep.
it's going to come back. And a lot of times they have, but there have been times where they haven't. And, every time it's like, it's not a loss, it's a learning experience. So,
Boom.
yeah, I'm constantly learning.
That's awesome. So now that you guys know, right? She's killing it, right? $20,000 in profits withdrawn. She's made more than that. Made 1,500 bucks today, and again has really kind of found her groove. Let's now talk a little bit about kind of the process of getting there, because I think that's what's cool about April. You guys is similar to Rick, it wasn't just like all sunshine and rainbows in the beginning.
Right.
So, why don't you tell me after the mastermind, right? Our 5 week mastermind that you took in February. Tell me maybe two or three of the biggest hurdles you were facing, or some of the struggles that you were going through after the conclusion of the mastermind.
Okay. So, I'm not a technical person at all, which is one of the issues. So, even in the beginning, it was really challenging for me just to set up my Discord. So that was a big hurdle for me. And then setting up my account in Thinkorswim, that was a challenge as well. But once I got it set up, I was trying to get familiar with it and paper trading, but the laptop that I have, it's really sensitive. So there were times where things would happen where I'm like, oh, I didn't mean for that to happen. So I had to learn how to better use my laptop without getting a mouse. And then I finally started to trade, and I just wasn't, so everything in the mastermind totally clicked for me and it made sense during the mastermind. The strategies are simple, the way they're taught are, really easy and straightforward. But putting it into practice for me was something else. So I didn't have a lot of success right away, but I just kept telling myself, if you don't quit, you will eventually be successful. You will learn this, you will get this. I had a job for 10 years, which was in budget for the government and with super complex funding methodologies. So I knew if I could learn that, then I could learn this. I don't want to say easy, but I knew that I could do it. So I just kept at it, and it wasn't until really I went to Puerto Vallarta for Memorial Day week, and I met someone, and we were talking about some things, and I forget, how it came up, but a certain amount of money came up, and I was like, oh, I can make that, day trading in one day. And then later that day, I was thinking to myself, well, April, why don't you? And so I started looking at, okay, what are things that I really need to work on? So one of the things was getting out of losing trades quickly. So that was something that I've really had to work on. And, I just fumbled the last couple of days and, had that same experience. And so I had to look at myself and I had to look at what I was doing. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm falling back into this same pattern. So I've corrected that with obviously a win this morning. So that was an issue. And then also a couple of times I got into bad trades that weren't the best setups. So I've had to work on that as well, waiting and being patient, waiting for a good setup. So those are a couple of the things that I've struggled with since Memorial Day week, though, when I really looked at myself and I was like, what are the steps you need to take to be consistent? Since then, I've been really consistent. I had 15 consistent winning days before this Tuesday that just passed. So, and then again today, I'm hopefully back on my winning schedule. So that's kind of how it happened. I've definitely
I
had some
love it.
ups and downs.
This is so good. There's so much gold there. I'm just gonna kind of unpack that. So, how many of you can relate to April right now? Like what she's describing, right? The like it makes sense and you understand it, but like you're just not quite getting it. Or for me, one of the best things that you said, right, is holding on to these losing trades, right? She would hold on to these losing trades, and she knew she was supposed to get out of them, but we're human, and our emotional, connection to the process, we hold on. I also love, what she talked about, being patient and waiting for those A+ setups. The stock market is so tricky because you watch in 15 minutes something just go up, 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 and you're like, well, I should have just entered. I would have made like 10 grand, But then you realize, wait a second, no, like that's not the strategy. Like that time it went straight up, but the next time it might go straight down.
Right.
So I think what's cool, guys, about April here is she is living proof of someone going through all the things that you guys are going through right now. But I want to point out the big difference maker here, and the point that I just love, and honestly why she is successful. If you guys remember when she was describing this, she said, I know that if I don't give up and I don't quit, eventually I'm going to figure it out. Right? She didn't say, "Hey, if I don't get a winning trade today, I'm done trading," or, "Hey, I didn't get what I wanted out of this morning session, so I guess I'm not good at trading." So a question I have, April, is, you have that confidence, right, to say, "Hey, as long as I don't quit, as long as I don't give up, I'm gonna figure it out."
Right.
For those listening who may be in that same spot that you were before you were able to kind of make that mental shift, or get to the point where you're now obviously very successful at it, what helped you have that confidence? Was it just personal self-belief? Was it someone around you? Was it someone in the community? Like what helped you have the confidence to, even though you weren't seeing the results, to continue going?
So for me, it's personal confidence is the first thing. But the second thing was I've tried different things over the years to make money, and I've been involved in multi-level marketing, which I
Mhm.
swore off many years ago. But different side hustles that just didn't work, and just when I joined Uncommon, I remembered how excited I felt in 2020 when I was making money scalping crypto. And I remember one day, it's sidetracked, but I remember one day I made $1,000. And I texted my dad, who's been day trading for 40 years, and I said, "Oh my God, I made $1,000 today." And he said, "Oh, great, I made 50 grand today." And I was like, "Wait a minute." And so now my dad is asking, he's 79, he's asking me to teach him how to trade options. And it's awesome and it's exciting because he's, super spry. He could totally do it. But I'm thinking, I'm not a teacher, so I'm going to send him to Uncommon, and he can go his own route. But another thing is that I looked at where and why I was making mistakes. And I really focused on looking at the mistakes, identifying them, and then making changes so that I didn't make those mistakes again. Like I would be in a trade and it would start going in the opposite direction, and I would just get out and I would just say, "Hey, I'm happy with the small loss, even though I didn't make any money today," because I don't usually do 2 or 3 trades. I usually do 1 trade a day and then I'm out. But this was really it for me. Like, I want to retire early and I want to live a good life and be able to afford the things that I want and that I want to provide for my daughter still, even though she's 30 and she's an engineer. I still want, to be able to do trips and different stuff with my family and, buy a new car and buy a house where I want to live. So this really was it for me. I just was so focused on being successful that there really was no other option for me. It was like, I'm going to make it at this, and that's all there is to it. So that's really what it was about.
Man, this is I hope you guys are just taking this to heart. I hope you guys are taking notes of this, right? I mean, this is just raw, pure making it happen, right? It is so cool to me, when I get to meet people and see their experiences where, you can say, yeah, sure, maybe Uncommon provides you with a few strategies, this, that, the other, but at the end of the day, it comes down to April, you guys. Like, she made it happen. And I talk about this all the time in our community. I can give you the strategies, I can give you the setups, I can do everything to put you in the best position, but the only way you're going to be successful is if you make yourself successful, right? I can't
Right.
do it for you, right?
Hmm.
If I did, I'd be a hedge fund guy and I'd just trade all your money for you, but I don't want to do that, right? Like, that's not my goal out of life. I'd rather hang out in the woods and fish and golf, right?
Right.
So that's where, again, with April in this example, you guys, she had a determination. She had a self belief and confidence, arguably when she didn't necessarily, you know, even deserve to have it. And
Right.
that's one of the most common things I see is those who are successful in anything in life, they have confidence when they shouldn't, right? It's like me when I went 3 years, right, of just losing. There was no reason I should have kept trading, right? But I just had this like almost psychotic belief that I was going to figure it out. Just so you guys know, we are almost to our Q&A portion. So hang on to these questions that you're asking. We're going to open it up in just 1 second. I wanted to cover one more thing with April before that. But again, it's a perfect example of whether in day trading or in other aspects of life, she has ultimately become, you guys, she's become a fantastic loser, right? That's one of the things that she pointed out. She said, I learned how to lose. I stopped hanging on to those losing trades. And she would said, right? She even said, I would have a small losing day and it wouldn't affect me. She still had the confidence to go back and have success the next day. So when you are learning how to day trade, you guys, and when you're learning this skill set, that is one of the biggest pieces, is learning how to lose properly. And ultimately, there's a few reasons why people have a hard time losing, and it's one, they are too prideful, right? They're just too proud to admit they were wrong. That's like the number one. It's a humility thing. But then two, it doesn't feel good, right? Like, it doesn't feel good to lose. And so when people lose and they don't feel good, they stop doing things, right? It's like if you're in recess and you're trying to play basketball with your friends and you're horrible at it, you're not going to want to keep trying to play basketball with your friends. So that is a huge thing you have to learn how to do, and something that April has been able to do so well. So the last question I have for April, and then we'll open it up for Q&A, for you guys to ask April some questions. And April, I'll field those questions and ask them as they come
Okay.
in. But the last question I have for April is before the Q&A. Now where you're at, right, on the other side, having seen some success, kind of overcoming those issues, identifying the issues that you did, what would you tell yourself, right, if you were to, with the knowledge you have now, if you were to go back to April that just had finished the mastermind, or was during the mastermind, what would you do differently, or what would you tell yourself at that point?
So knowing myself and knowing the mistakes I've made, I would tell myself, do not be greedy. Greedy has been my downfall. Every loss that since I've been making significant amounts of money, every loss that I've had has been because I was greedy. In the beginning, I found this play on a Tesla play and I just knew it was going to blow up, and it did. And like in a matter of seconds, it went up to $13,000. And I was like, holy smokes, whoa. And so I held on to it thinking it was going to keep going. Well, it didn't. So I ended up getting out of the trade with only $3,800. Still significant amount, a good amount of money. But after that day, I was thinking, oh, every day is going to be a huge day like that. Well, it's not. You're going to have significant wins and you're going to have, you know, not significant wins. Even a couple $100 a day makes a huge difference. I have a very good career, and almost every day I make more day trading than I do in my career. And to me, that's a win. Like, if I'm making more than my job, then I'm basically doubling my salary. So the number one thing I would tell myself is don't be greedy, because
So
I
good.
have a tendency to do that. So it would be that.
That's so good. And you guys know, everyone on this call knows exactly that scenario. And I remember when she texted me that day and she was just like, Jeremy, I made $3,800, but I was up $13,000. Like, I'm sick. And it's just funny. It's we've all been there. And it's the most, frustrating thing when you're up, you're in a good spot, you don't take profit, you don't, kind of trim along the way, you don't implement a trailing take profit, and you end up losing a bunch of it. And sometimes they'll even turn into losing trades. But what I love from April, you guys, and why she honestly has had a great career and why she's a really good trader is she is someone who identifies her weaknesses and makes changes. Okay. Think about if you're an addict, right? Like, what's the first step to overcoming any addiction, right? It's acknowledging that you have an addiction,
Right.
right?
Right.
It is acknowledging that there are flaws. And so what I see, right? Because again, I've now helped. I mean, we've had thousands of people come through Uncommon at this point. Is for me, those who succeed are the ones who say, you know what, I am really bad at holding on to losing trades, so I need to change that. But the people who struggle, they find excuses. It's the blame game. They want to deflect all responsibility to everyone else. And so it's a level of what I call humble confidence, right? Because you're
Right.
so confident that you're gonna figure it out, but you also are humble enough to admit your issues, your flaws, where you're going wrong. And that's one thing, April, that I've seen you do so well. So huge credit to you on that, and it's been really fun to see.
Thanks.
So with all that being said, guys, let's open it up for a Q&A here with April. We're just about our 25-minute mark into this. Go ahead and ask some questions. I'll kind of field them to you, April, and you can just kind of answer quickly. Simple responses. But yeah, let's open it up. All right, so what strategies in setting up your support and resistance lines on a trade each morning? How do you map it out? So what levels do you primarily like to play, April? Is it potential plays? Is it your own previous day pre-market levels? What are your favorite levels to trade off of?
So a lot like Rick said last week, I utilize the pre-market lows and highs and the previous day lows and highs, but I do also look at the potential plays and play those as well.
Cool.
Um, if one of the potential plays doesn't work out, like in the first 15-20 minutes of the morning, then I'm probably moving on to something else. But I utilize the previous day and the overnight lows and highs a lot, and also the EMAs. I use the EMAs a lot. And um, one thing that I've noticed is sometimes getting stuck in a channel, and if you're in a trade and you don't get out of the trade in a good amount of time, or when you should get out, then sometimes it just rides the EMA and you're kind of stuck in that trade. So I try not to do that.
Cool.
That's one thing I try not to do.
So you're playing previous day and pre-market levels, and then if
Yeah.
you see a trade that you're in start consolidating, you're essentially just saying, okay, it's not happening, I'm
Yeah.
going to get out.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Next question, being that you kind of like that scalper mentality, do you just use the 5-minute chart, April, or do you also use the 1-minute chart?
So I try to use the 1-minute chart immediately after the mastermind. I use the 5-minute and then the 1-minute. I can't like multitask super well. So on my laptop, I can only have the trade that I'm in and then the trade under it, so I can see what's going on. And then it didn't really work for me. The 1-minute, it just was too much. And I found that you get the same exact information on the 5-minute. It just doesn't have a stop and then start again. But you get the same price action on the 5-minute. So I just use the 5-minute.
The 1-minute honestly gives me anxiety personally. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's happening so fast. And I've gotten better at it, over the years, obviously. But yeah, especially early on, it's really tough to do. That's great. Another question. How much did you know about day trading options specifically before joining the mastermind in February?
Nothing. I didn't know anything about options. In fact, I was intimidated when I first started because, well, before the mastermind, I did know because I had joined the monthly subscription in October and I watched all of the videos. So I was pretty familiar by the time the mastermind started. But before I joined Uncommon in general, I didn't know anything about options. I had heard a lot about it, but I didn't know anything about it. And I had heard that it was complicated, but it's not complicated at all.
Isn't that cool, guys, that she is doing what she's doing now in the stock market, making thousands of dollars a day, and she knew nothing about options trading before joining Uncommon? Honestly, guys, like, spoiler, that's why we named it Uncommon Education, is because it's really not that scary, but it's just uncommon. I have my own theory on that. I think big money politicians, they don't want us to know about this because, yeah,
Right.
if everyone
Right.
was out just working an hour a day, there would be no reason to have jobs or, anyway, story for a different time. But that's what's so cool is she was able to learn options in a extremely short amount of time to the point where now she is, making as much, if not more, than her career job, which is awesome. Okay, another few questions. So, how do you get those high percent wins from scalping? So, maybe a rephrase of that question is, April, on your trades from like the position you enter, where would you say your average win is? Like when you enter and close, like what percent gain are you seeing typically on your winning trades?
So for me, it depends on the price action because and the volume. Volume
Mm-hmm.
is huge because if the volume starts to decline, I'll usually get out of a trade sooner rather than I would if it remained high.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm sorry, can you say the question
Yeah,
again?
no, and you're exactly right. So let's say over the last 2 months, if you take all your winning trades, where would you say you are on average taking profit? Is it at 10%? Is it at 40%? Like when you're up on
Okay.
your position, what would your average percent return be on your winning trades, would you say?
Okay. So I'm not I don't plan to do it any certain way. Like I usually don't have a take profit level, which I know I should, but it's usually average 15 to 20%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And what's cool, guys, is when you understand price action the way that we teach it at Uncommon, just like April was alluding to, you know whether you should stay in the trade or not. And that's what's so
Right.
fun is if you're in a trade and it's low volume, yeah, you're probably going to take profits at certain levels. If you're in a trade and it's cooking volume wise and things are going
Hang
good, the way that we
on.
teach, yeah, hang on and enjoy the ride. Like have
Yeah.
have have a good time. Move that stop up as you're moving along. So that's great. And that just goes to show, guys, if she's, in that realm of about a 20% return, for her to make, let's say, $2,000, that would be, entering with a position size of roughly $10,000, right? But it's the same thing if you wanted to make $200 a day, that's entering with $1,000 position size and seeing the same relative percent return. And so obviously she's gotten to the point where she's comfortable, she's confident, so she has increased her position size, but she's done it in a way that we teach at Uncommon because there's definitely a right and wrong way to scale your account. But that's the beauty of what we do here is we try to help you do it in a way that allows your brain to process those higher numbers while still implementing the exact same strategies. So that's fantastic. Another question, was there a moment when it all started to click? If so, what made you realize you were becoming successful? So you mentioned April, Puerto Vallarta,
Yes.
right? Okay, so Puerto Vallarta
Yes.
there, but at what point did you feel like, because I think you kind of explained that was the turning point, but at what point did you feel like, you know what, like think I think I've got this, or I think I'm starting to get it. Was there a moment, a trade? Was there anything that kind of made you feel that way?
Well, it really was after 3 consecutive winning days is when I
Awesome.
thought, oh, okay, I think I'm getting this. And, it was a really great feeling. And so it really boosted my confidence because it had been a while since, I had been winning, losing, winning, losing. And you do get down, but still I was like, I'm not quitting no matter what. So I need to just figure it out.
That's so good. And it's so funny, you guys. Like, there's no secret sauce to this, right? Rick, April, we're gonna have a lot more people on these Instagram lives in the coming weeks. It's all the same. They're just resilient. They have a desire to do it. They have a passion. They're consistent. It's so cool to see. Another question is, how much did you start trading with after the mastermind? So once the mastermind concluded and you were kind of going through your ups and downs, roughly how much were you trading with at that time?
So I originally set aside $10,000 for my trading account, but then when I decided to join the mastermind, that took a chunk of it,
Mm-hmm.
which was fine because I decided, okay, this is an investment in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then I started the mastermind, or after the mastermind, I started trading with $5,000 in my account.
Cool. So a relatively small amount. That's And I think that's pretty standard. I'd say most people, when they, finish our mastermind, they are trading with anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000. That's kind of the range that most people are trading with after our mastermind.
Oh, I do want to caveat that though, because
Mm-hmm.
I did lose most of that, and
Mm-hmm.
then I put another $10,000 in, and
Cool.
then since then I've been sailing.
And isn't that funny? I always talk about this in the mastermind. I can tell you what not to do. I can tell you how bad it stings. I can tell you how bad it hurts. But until you actually like decrease your $2,000 account to
Oh yeah,
$200, or until you have that one loss where you just hold and hope and it doesn't work out, you really can't understand it fully. And I tell them, like, trust me. They're like, oh, don't worry, I won't be that person. Every single person, myself included,
me
goes
too.
through it, and you're like, it's just a funny reality of trading. So that's good to know that you're human too. I'm sure a lot of these people are thinking, holy cow, like this is amazing. She's
No,
superhuman, and you are, but you also have you're human, and you made mistakes along the way, which
right.
is fantastic to hear. Another question: what was some changes you made during times when things weren't clicking? So I'll kind of caveat that with the question that was presented earlier. With you specifically talking about your losing trades and holding on to those losses too long, what specifically did you change, or what specific like practice did you implement to stop holding on to your losing trades? Was it just a conscious decision of, hey, today I'm getting out the second it doesn't go against me? Did you have like a specific, you put in a stop loss? Like what actual practice did you implement to overcome that weakness in your trading?
So I really looked at how much I was letting the trade lose and how I was holding on, because like we've discussed, I'm optimistic when my trade is up, but when the trade goes sideways, I'm also optimistic that it's going to come back.
Right.
So I really need to look at not being that way and just getting out, before I need to be in a position where I need to be optimistic that the trade is going to come back, because I'll already be out of the trade.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, if it goes down, 5%, I'm looking at getting out. I don't have,
Mm-hmm.
a hard stop loss, but I'm just, keeping an eye on the numbers. And I'm also looking at the volume and, at what's happening with the candles. But I'm pretty quick now to get out of a trade.
That's so cool. And for those of you who know day trading, if she is getting out roughly at a 5% drawdown and she's taking profits at roughly 20%, that is a 4-to-1 reward to risk ratio. That's nasty. That is so good. That is like, again, you could be wrong 3 out of 4 times, April, with that
Right.
parameters, and you will be profitable, right? And now you guys know where the money's coming from, because she just said, she went 15 days in a row without losing with that type of reward to risk. I mean, it's remarkable. And I've always said, once you really understand the strategies, when you enter, it is either going to be a perfect entry and it immediately goes in your
Yeah.
favor,
Yes.
or it doesn't. And so you just, you cut the loss quick, and you're out. I love
Yeah.
that. That is so
Yeah.
cool. Another quick question. We're going to take a few more, guys. Don't want to take all of April's time. We'll take a few more questions here. Most successful strategy. So is there one strategy that you prefer in particular, whether that's the first candle, BRC, bounce, reject, RBR? Like, do you have a favorite strategy, or are you implementing all of them? What's your strategy of choice?
So my favorite, which I think is probably a lot of people, is the first candle strategy. And there are some ways that I kind of manipulate it. I don't do it exactly, probably to the T, but the first candle strategy, I like to get in and out, like I said, and I don't like to be, on my computer for a long time
Mm-hmm.
in the morning. So I like to get in, get out. I want to be like you. I don't want to have a real job. And, I just want to enjoy life. So I need to um, set my schedule of how it's going to be and how it's going to be going forward. I
Yep.
need to do it how I want to do it right now and maintain that.
That's fantastic. And yeah, I mean, the first candle strategy is fun because it is such a good strategy to allow you to not be at the screen stuck all
Mhm.
day. But I will say, for those who are like, first candle, I want to learn it, you have to have a really, really good understanding of all of our strategies
Yes.
before you can start doing that, because what the first candle strategy is, it's an implementation of all of our strategies, but you're making decisions in
Yes.
milliseconds, right? Just
Right.
complete reactionary, which if you just try to do without any base knowledge, you'll get toasted.
Yeah.
um Okay, well, that's fantastic. I think there was one other question I wanted that someone had asked. Yeah, so on average, what is the amount of time you trade per day? So as you guys, again, hopping in, she's withdrawn over $20,000 of profits over the last month. She made $1,500 today. On average, your typical day, market opens in California at 6:30 a.m. When are you logged off, done for the day trading, would you say, on average?
So by 7 o'clock. So 30 minutes.
Isn't that
30
great?
minutes typically. In and
Isn't that
out.
crazy, guys? Isn't that crazy? She's seeing that type of money, those type of profits in 30 minutes. Now, what she's not, alluding to, and what we don't talk about, when we're not on these lives, is yeah, she's able to do that, but it took months and months of practice and learning the strategies, being on all the live trading sessions,
Yes.
the mastermind itself. So it's kind of like, when people are like, oh, overnight success, it's like, yeah, overnight success with 7 years of hard work before that, right?
Right.
It's just kind of how it goes. Okay, guys, well, we're right at that 40-minute mark. Last question, guys. If you're still on here, please hang tight for 1 second. So April, for anyone who is considering joining Uncommon's mastermind, for anyone who's considering getting into day trading, anyone who maybe has gotten involved and is not seeing the success that they are, what would your advice be to anyone considering working with us, or just getting into day trading in general? What would your last 60 seconds of wisdom be to them?
So my recommendation is give it 100%. Be all in. Watch all of the videos. If you don't understand them, watch them again. They're right there at your disposal. I watched every video, sometimes multiple times, because I've had head injuries and my comprehension is not the best. So engage in the community, get on every single live, participate in everything that you can, immerse yourself in the community, and just give 100%, because if you do, it will come back to you, honestly.
I love it. All in mentality. And
Yes.
my last piece, you guys, with April, my last 2 cents. When she joined the mastermind, I remember her struggling getting into the Discord. I remember answering questions about how to set up Thinkorswim. For me, it's never, oh, this person's not going to succeed or this person's going to succeed. But I remember specifically thinking with April at the time, I was like, man, she's got a long ways to go. Like like we are struggling with like our foundational stuff here. Like, oh man, like, whew,
Yeah.
this is gonna, like, we got our work cut out for us here, obviously,
Right.
in a very loving way, right? But that's what's so cool, you guys, is even with her saying she's not technically savvy, even with her having no experience day trading options before, she was able to come in with her first mastermind being February of this year, and here she is now, complete new trajectory on life,
Yeah.
right? Everything from retirement to financial goals, and everything in between. It's just really cool. And from my end, April, this is why I do what I do within Uncommon, is people like you seeing success and being able to change their life for the better. So it's a really awesome thing for me to see, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I appreciate you hopping on and kind of sharing your experience with everyone here on Instagram, and hopefully giving some feedback and encouragement. And as we see here, there's been so many awesome comments of people coming through thanking you. So again, I just want to say congrats on all your success, and
Thank
thanks so
you.
much for hopping on and joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad I could join. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. Okay, guys. Well, if you need anything, feel free to reach out. If you're interested in our upcoming September mastermind, feel free to let me know. If you have questions within the community, hit up the live trading help channel. You can also ask questions within our community. But again, just want to say thanks, April, and we will keep in touch. All right.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Thanks, guys.